Hey everyone, today's TV show review will be the 2001 to 2007 Cartoon Network series, and that is, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. A Grim Reaper looks after two kids who needs a servant. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy originally aired on Cartoon Network, Boomerang, currently airing on Adult Swim, as a checkered past block, originally streamed on HBO Max, and currently streaming on Hulu. It's beta on Disney Plus and Amazon Prime Video. The series is centered around the exploits of Billy, an idiotic and happy-go-lucky boy, Mandy, a cynical and cold-hearted girl, and Grim, a Jamaican-accented Reaper. After Billy and Mandy cheated at a limbo match against Grim, in retaliation for putting the limbo rod too low for them to go under, he is enslaved in a permanently unwanted friendship with the children. Grim is miserable in the first days of his servitude, and even fantasizes about killing them multiple times. However, as the time passes, he gradually adapts to the new life, and even grows to care for Billy and Mandy, if only somewhat. Despite this, he retains a love-hate relationship with the two and desires to eventually break free from his servitude. Billy and Mandy use Grim's supernatural abilities and powers to venture into supernatural locations or environments, such as the underworld, or the netherworld, inhabited by an assortment of grotesque monstrous beasts. The pair also use Grim's enormously strong supernatural abilities or ties with a number of beastly characters to achieve goals or desires for themselves, often with twisted results. Famed fictional monsters including Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Bogeyman are also comically depicted in the series. Supporting characters include Erwin, Billy's nerdy best friend who has a crush on Mandy, Harold, Billy's father who shares his son's stupidity, Gladys, Billy's loving yet mentally unstable mother, Minty, the snobby, stuck-up, and spoiled queen bee of Billy and Mandy's Schoolsburg, the local bully who has a sensitive side, Hoss Delgado, an overly intense spectral exterminator who hunts supernatural creatures, Nurgle, a friendship-seeking demon who later marries Billy's aunt and bears a son, Nurgle Jr., General Scar, Billy's ill-tempered next-door neighbor who originated in evil Con Carney, and Jeff, a giant spider constantly trying to win the approval of the arachnophobic Billy, whom he sees as his father. The show lacks continuity for the most part, as many episodes end with characters killed, exiled, or stuck in a situation. Characters sometimes display an awareness of some events from previous episodes, but there are no clear character arcs or coherent plot lines tying the show together. The writing does have some pretty funny and neat ideas, and for the most part it's fine, but at other times it doesn't really work. It can be decently funny despite some lowbrow jokes. There are some neat references and jokes, and it does definitely have some pretty disturbing moments, but sometimes those moments feel like they're there just for the sake of mild shock and gross-out value. Most of the episodes are just kind of okay, and there are definitely some bad ones like Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, but there are some pretty decent ones like Meet the Reaper, Skeletons in the Water Closet, Brown Evil, The Crawling Niceness, Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween, Scarred for Life, My Peeps, A Kick in the Ass Crew, Chocolate Sailor, Duck, Mommy Fiercest, Billy and Mandy Save Christmas, Pandora's Lunchbox, Billy and Mandy vs. the Martians, Dracula Must Die, and Wrath of the Spider Queen. The humor is a bit of a mixed bag, as some of the humor does get a little laugh, like some of the banter between the characters, some of the more goofy situations they get into, some of the gags and slapstick, and some decently funny adult jokes. But the humor also seems to rely on gross-out humor and disturbing imagery, and while some of it does get a bit of a laugh, others may be a bit too much. Also, there's a large amount of lowbrow toilet humor. There are some neat references to various horror and monster media that flew over my head as a kid, but now recognize as an adult, like Evil Dead, Dracula, Night of the Living Dead, Sleepy Hollow, Godzilla, Frankenstein, The Wolfman, The Mummy, and others. The animation is pretty solid for this series. The characters all have pretty good designs and some decent movements. The backgrounds are pretty well done, and there are some pretty decent effects. The characters may be more on the one-note side, but some do manage to be decently likable, while others can be pretty weak. Billy is a bit of a mixed bag, as there are times where he can be decently funny and likable due to his stupidity, but at other times he can be kind of annoying. Mandy is okay, as she is pretty cynical and almost never smiles due to her being very cold-hearted, but due to her being like this pretty much all the time, she can be pretty one-note. Grim is easily the best character in the series, as while he is supposed to be all dark and scary, he often gets himself into some pretty goofy situations, and due to him being constantly annoyed by the kids and their antics, he can also be very relatable. The rest of the characters are a mixed bag, as some are fine and can be funny, but others can get annoying and grating. There are some that are okay, like Billy's parents Harold and Gladys, Erwin, Dracula, Hoss, Eris, Jeff, Nurgle and his son Nurgle Jr., Jack-o'-lantern, Lord Payne, and General Scar. But there are also some that are either very generic or can get very annoying, like Minty, Spurg, Miss Butterpin, and especially Fred Burger. Also, there are some cameos from other Cartoon Network characters, and even some Hanna-Barbera characters like Huckleberry Hound, Fred Flintstone, Yogi Bear and Boo Boo, Scooby-Doo, Johnny Bravo, Cal, Dexter, Ed, Mac and Blue, Professor Utonio, Numbers 2 and 3, and even Hector Concarne and Major Dr. Ghastly from the series' sister show Evil Concarne. The voice acting is pretty decent, and the voice actors do deliver some decent performances, like Richard Horvitz as Billy and Harold, Gray Delisle as Mandy, Greg Eagles as Grim, Vanessa Marshall as Erwin, Jennifer Hale as Gladys, Rachel McFarlane as Eris, Phil Lamar as Dracula, Diedrich Budar as Hoss Delgado, Maxwell Adams as Jeff, David Warner and Martin Jarvis as Nurgle, Armin Shimerman as Scar, and more. The music is okay, and sometimes does give a nice and eerie vibe, but it's just kind of okay and nothing really worth bragging about. Speaking about its movie, this show even has its own TV movies from Cartoon Network and Cartoon Network Studios, Billy and Mandy Big Boogie Adventure in 2007, and The Grim Adventures of the Kids Next Door in 2007, a crossover movie of codename Kids Next Door. Also, this show has its own video game from Warner Brothers Interactive, and Cartoon Network Interactive by the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, and the Nintendo Wii. The show has a lot of cameos and references, like the time they're referencing to the Powerpuff Girls at the end of the Season 4 episode called My Fair Mandy, and they also made their appearances in the crossover special with Jellystone called Crisis on Infinite Mirths, featuring with other Cartoon Network characters. And so, my final verdict on this show, I'm rating it a 9 out of 10. This show has a lot of funniest moments throughout the series, and some characters may be good and decent at times too. Well everyone, that's it for my TV show review series. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Until next time, see you all soon, goodbye.